Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis and today I'm going to be sharing what I read for the month of October 2021. Now, I will say all the books that I've read are hard copy. There's just something about having something in my hands I prefer over the digital, whether it be on Kindle Unlimited or audiobook. There's just something about having it in my hands, and call me materialistic, but that's just how it is right now. I've had some experience with both, but I have yet to fully invest monthly in either for audiobook or Kindle. So for now, I'm gonna stick to hardcover and softcover books. Uh, the first one I'll be talking about is by Kennedy Ryan. In fact, all of the books I've read for the month of October are by Kennedy Ryan. I just went full on binge for her series. So the first one is Longshot, and this is the first book of her Hoop series. This is the story of August and Iris. Now, August, he is biracial, and his father had passed away, but he was very well known for his basketball career, and August did follow in his footsteps as he also enjoys the game and the love of the game. I will say that he did somewhat feel like an outsider within his family, but he immediately has a connection with Iris, and Iris is also of mixed background, so much so that she goes by Gumbo, because that is a nickname given to her by family, and also Bo, short for Gumbo. I thought that was a really cute touch. And I will say they have immediate attraction. They met at the local pub, but they did not immediately pursue a relationship because Iris, on her end, was in a committed relationship. And when August realized he wasn't about to cross that line of infidelity with her, so things happen, and Iris ends up meeting August months later. When they meet again, August realizes that she's pretty deep into the relationship that she's in, with said person, and it happens to be another basketball player, but on a rival team. And in fact, they've been rivals since they were young, even doing basketball clinics. So I thought that was interesting to have. It was, the mutual rivalry, and mutual dislike for each other. On Iris's end, she did go through a lot. I mean, this does involve verbal and physical abuse. It involves rape, force things. Don't want to overshare because I feel like although there are trigger warnings, feel free to research more about them. I think they can overshare a lot of the plot, and I don't want to do that. You'll just have to check out the book yourself. And this does hint at healing on Iris's end. August is very patient and kind, and they eventually have their someday, and I thought it was just so beautiful. For me, I do not have any triggers, or at least I have yet to discover triggers. So I didn't have any trouble reading this. In fact, I thought it was a very moving story. I still gave it 5 stars, but it wasn't to the point where I couldn't put it down. Whereas some people might need to take a break from certain heavy topics that arise in this. But again, I thought Kennedy Ryan did it very beautifully in this book, so feel free to check it out. Next in the series is Blockshot, and this is about Jared and Banner. Now, Jared is the stepbrother of August, and he is mentioned in the first book. In fact, he's a very good brother, very loyal to family, and he's loyal to those he loves. But that doesn't mean loyalty to everybody, and this is clear in this book. Him and Banner met in college. Now, although he didn't know that they had met before, when he does realize who she is in class, he wants to pursue her. But because of a proposition stated to him by a club that he wanted to be a part of, they wanted him to get involved with a fat girl or a heavyset girl. And that heavyset girl was Banner. Jared immediately rejected the proposition, but not because he didn't want to pursue Banner, but not for that reason. But of course, once he does so that night, the secret comes out about the prank or hazing, whatever you want to call it. I'm not familiar with fraternity and sorority situations, so whatever that proposition was, Banner finds out about it, devastated, rightly so. Jared tries to talk to her, rightly so. I mean, you can't be mad at either party. It's just poor communication here and poor timing. But years later, Banner is in a committed relationship with one of her longtime friends, and they're a very good guy. I mean, he was very devoted to her as she was to him until Jared makes his, intentions known. And cheating is involved in here, a lot of moral touch in here. I mean, Banner, she does come from a Catholic background, and as someone who has grown up with that, I I noticed everything that she was feeling. I felt for her. I was like, girl, I know you're going through it, but Jared's your man, and you need to get with your man. But I mean, things happen, and one of my favorite parts. Well, no, I'll mention two of my favorite parts here. One of them would be the drive-in theater, and the other one would be when Banner is ready to have lights on. That's all I'll say for now because it does allude to things, but when the lights come on, it's just so beautiful. I mean, there's the literal light and the emotional light of being with your person. It was just beautiful. That's all I'll say for now. Blockshot. This does involve sickness of loved one in here, and like I said, there's a bit of fat phobia, fat shaming, and getting comfortable with your body. Self love, self care is important. That's what I got out of this. Also, don't cheat because it hurts other people. As if you didn't need to be told that already. Next book would be Hookshot, and this is technically the third primary book of the series. This is about Keenan and Lotus. Now, Lotus is the cousin of Iris, and there is some mystical element about her, history of voodoo, and she did go through childhood trauma that she does have to, work through as an adult because it's something that will likely never leave her. So there is that childhood trauma, and there's sexual assault in here for her. Keenan, on his end, he went through a rough divorce, and this is him trying to maintain a healthy relationship with his daughter, but also deal with his annoying and dramatic, attention-seeking ex-wife. So I thought that was interesting to have here. Keenan and Lotus never had communication issues. In fact, they had this deep understanding of each other, although they would disagree at times, and I thought this was beautifully put. I will go in further about each book of the series because I can't put into words in such a short video everything I have felt throughout this book and what I feel for each book. This does come to near-death experiences or a loss of loved one, a lot of drama, paparazzi, just things, but overall, very good story. And yes, although I will say Blockshot is my favorite of the series, but this one was a happy ending. Okay, a nice way to complete the series. Now, after Hookshot, I did read Hoops Holiday, and I didn't realize that, well, I knew it was a novella, but I didn't realize this is supposed to take place before Hookshot. So this is about Mackenzie and Avery. Mackenzie and Avery is their pair is hinted at throughout the series. In fact, they work with the Waves team, which is a team that Keenan and August were part of, and then Jared as, I believe, the manager of or co-partner of a company with August. They run in similar circles, right? So Mackenzie, he is a former NBA player turned journalist or anchor, something along those lines. Avery has been pursuing journalism in sports, and that's how they met. And this is supposed to be their story on Avery's end. She did go through something, and Mackenzie doesn't want it to just be a one-time thing between them. He does realize that there's something more to their story. But Avery did go through something. This does involve death of a loved one and dealing with that difficult loss by choice. That's all I'm going to say. Because that does, this is a novella and it's very short. I read it in just a couple hours. And it does have a couple holiday special scenes with August and Iris and Banner and Jared. So again, very cute. And Christmas is right around the corner, so might as well give this a shot if you're into, basketball and Christmas and all the good holiday stuff. So get your hoops holiday. Next, I read the Soul series by Kennedy Ryan, and I'm only going to briefly talk about them because it is about the same couple in all three books. The first one is My Soul to Keep. I thought this, for one, there's a lot of elements about this trilogy that I really enjoyed. Now, Kai, she comes from a small town, and she did end up going through something that, someone had left when she was really young. Another person passed away again when she was really young. And she ended up having to pursue her dreams on her own. And when she moves out to LA, that's where she meets Ryson. Ryson, on his end, he was always considered a genius within the musical world. He did come from a very manipulative and competitive family. His parents were so wrapped up in his career over his health that he ended up getting involved in drugs and needed emancipation. So he pursued that with the help of another relative and ended up becoming estranged from his parents along with his twin sister Bristol. Now, when Ryson and Kai meet, it is at his relative's studio place, and he was playing the piano, and him and Kai make eye contact, and it was just a really beautiful moment. They have a lot of connection through music, among other things, and they just have this openness about them. But it only goes so far because, Kai on her end, she didn't want to pursue the relationship with them right off the bat, or with Ryson right off the bat, because she didn't want it to affect her career, and rightly so. Ryson was already established in his career and very well known, famous, all that stuff, switching from classical to rock, very well known. Whereas Kai was literally just moving to LA and starting out only a few months in, has her best friend with her, Santos, that both of them come from the small town. And I will say I gave this 5 stars because there was just this element of, friends to lovers, and there's drama. This doesn't end on a happy note because, like I said, this is only part 1 of their story. So yeah, feel free to check this out. And the My Soul to Keep title, if you're familiar with that prayer, I enjoyed the involvement of, Kai having her Baptist background, so having to, cope with that and the losses that she's taken, the delays in her career because of said losses. I thought that was a very beautiful touch. And as someone who comes from a religious family, and my one side of my family is Baptist, whereas the other one's Catholic, I thought this was very beautiful to include. After that, would be Down to My Soul. And like I said, it's the continuation of Ryson and Kai's story. So in the first book, Ryson messed up big time. And this is when Kai is, trying to take some breather from their relationship, and Ryson's trying to win her back. And of course, they end up doing so, but then things happen, and the stalker gets involved, and a bunch of drama. Again, not going to overshare because this is just a continuation of their story, and there's a lot of overlap with the first. Now, lastly, of that trilogy would be Refrain. And I will say you could finish with Down to My Soul, but if you really enjoyed Ryson and Kai's story, you might as well continue. This is basically an extension of their happily ever after. I mean, slight hiccups, but overall, very good completion to the story. I did end up giving Down to My Soul and Refrain only 4 stars because there were some characters I wish were more involved, such as Jimmy, who was a longtime friend of Ryson, who always had a mutual, or not a mutual, but she always had, strong feelings for him and wanted to pursue him, but Ryson never felt that. So I wanted to see her more and how their relationship was able to continue, if at all, with Kai involved. And then with Santos, he was the best friend of Kai, and they both came from the same small town. They grew up together pretty much. He got her to move out to LA after the losses she took, and pushed her to pursue her dreams that she had been delaying for so long. And I would have enjoyed him more in the stories, but what you gonna do? They're already written, they're already completed. So who knows if Kennedy Ryan will revisit, but there hasn't been any talk about it, so doubtful, but I really enjoyed the book. Oh, and also, last comment about the Soul series, Pepper. That's all I'm going to say. Pepper. And if you read the book, let me know if you understand what I mean by Pepper, because, just little scavenger hunts, you might as well read it yourself. And lastly, for the month of October, I started with her Grip series with Flo, and Flo is a novella about Bristol and Grip. His real name's Marlon, but he goes by Grip for reasons, and you learn why in here. But Bristol is, like I said, the twin sister of Ryson, and based on what she does in the Soul series, I thought she was, just being the protective, if not overprotective, sister, and putting her twins' needs before, the outsider. And in that case, it was Kai. But eventually come around to, and they make very good relations. So that's all I'm gonna say. Eventually she comes around to Kai. But this flow is supposed to take place years before, when Bristol, after Ryson was emancipated, she decides to come out to LA and rekindle her relationship with Ryson because it had been years since they talked and seen each other. But Ryson is hesitant, and he decides to send Grip to the airport to pick Bristol up. And in doing so, Bristol and Grip have this immediate, connection and understanding for each other. Although they can have disagreements, I enjoyed the healthy conversation that they have in here. This is an interracial relationship. Um, Bristol was coming from an upper class white family, but neglecting parents, whereas Grip, he came from a single parent household out of Compton, but grew up in a very loving home and a supportive family. So I thought this was a nice contrast to include, not just, background wise, but just to be able to see, their level of understanding with each other because of their separate backgrounds. They were able to, see things that maybe the other person wouldn't normally see because they had been living it for so long and might not understand, and vice versa. They're able to tap into understanding, and I really enjoyed that, especially considering they just met. But of course, it doesn't last that long because this is only their beginning, and Grip ends up holding back the truth. So Bristol refuses to listen, and thus begins their story. And years later, does it go into Grip, which is technically book one, and Flow is point 0.5, but I digress. Flow is not necessary to go into the Grip series, but for me, I just wanted to, see what everything's about. I want to know everything going into this. I don't want it to just be alluded to through the stories that come after. I would like to see it happen. I don't want to be told what happens. I want to be shown what happens. If you've seen Remarkably Lisa's stories, or excuse me, her videos, she does talk about showing and telling. So I do agree with that. It's more enjoyable to, be shown what's happening or instead of told. So yeah, just going through the process. Don't talk about the result. Go through it, if that makes sense. So that concludes my video for my books that I read for the month of October 2021. If you have any suggestions, feel free to comment them down below. But like I said, I've been going through Kennedy Ryan's backlist. I will be probably tapping into historicals again after I complete the Grip series. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment them down below. I also will be tapping into paranormal romances for the first time. So again, any suggestions, comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!